Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Pope Metallicus, and welcome back to Rock and Roll Religion, where we've got a newer band for you today that's absolutely killing it. We're going to go over both of their albums today, and it's a personal favorite of the NWO/THM subgenre of me and my co-host today, who, as usual, is the Sentinel. How's it going, dude?
It's going okay. How about yourself, man?
Doing all right. Sorry for I wasn't here last week. I just started a new job that has me working insane hours, so I just wasn't up to doing a show last Sunday. But once I get into a normal schedule, we'll get back to it.
Oh man, I can relate. I can relate to that, man. Trust me.
Yeah, and the band we got covered today is, they came out of nowhere in 2019. Out of Canada, and people's jaws were just hitting the floor at how good these guys were. And like, I heard a couple of people talking about, like, yeah, how good can they really be, like, whatever. And then I heard Burn the Night, and I was like, holy shit, okay.
Yeah, they can be pretty good.
And I mean, when you get into like the artwork and stuff, like, that's what sold me at first, because it's like, this is trying to be screaming for vengeance so hard they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, it's like a mix of Screaming for Vengeance and Toucan Sam. Perfect.
Yeah, and a little bit of Defenders of the Faith.
Yeah, and a little bit of Defenders. Definitely in the local.
And they sound a lot like 80s Priest on this record.
Yeah.
They're hard, they're fast, they're aggressive. Their singer is an absolute banshee. Which, unfortunately, I think they changed singers between albums here.
Well, if they did, I didn't notice it.
They sound very similar, but I think their lead guitarist was the singer on their first record, and I think they've got a singer now.
Damn.
If I remember that correctly.
I had no idea. I'll have to look that up sometime.
Yeah, I mean, either way, if they did replace him, it didn't hurt the sound quality of the record at all.
No, it didn't. It actually improved.
Yeah, the production quality improved quite a bit between the records. And that's not to say that this album is bad or it sounds poorly produced. It doesn't. It's very tight. It's very sharp.
Mm-hmm.
The mix is a little muddy. Like, the bass lines don't really pop out at you as much on this one as they do on Electric Elite.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how much I want to say Electric Eye every time I say the name of that record.
I think what they were going for with this album was they wanted to sound like an 80s band, so they used the production, 80s style production.
Which I don't disagree with, being, like, as true as possible to the old school sound. But I do like the newer production methods a little better. The sound is a little meatier.
I would absolutely agree, which is why I took to Electric Elite. I was just like, God damn, this is a great improvement, because now I can actually hear the detail. I can,
like, you can hear all the bass lines very clearly. Although you can on this one as well, just not as sharply.
Yeah, it doesn't pop like it does on Electric Elite.
That being said, I actually think I like Burn the Night a little better, in that first of all, it's a very concise album. The whole thing is 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this mix of, like, just pretty much straight up heavy and speed metal.
Yeah, definitely.
That is just like the borderline between the two, and it's fucking glorious. Like, songs like the title track and 329 absolutely kill. And in the meantime, we've got, like, Warrior of Time, which is kind of it's an interesting one for me. I love the song, but I think it goes on a little long. Like, I think Warrior of Time is like 7 minutes or something like that. I don't know if that was fully warranted, but almost everything else on this record is just lights out.
I love the opening track myself. I think it's Halloween at Midnight. What the fuck? I know it's the opening track. See, I remember the names of on Electric Elite more than I remember the names on Burn the Night. I think
I'm exactly the opposite. Where, like,
Warrior of Time, that's what it was.
Yeah, like that's the first track, and it's a little long for me. I don't think it needed to be.
Probably not, but I like the statement it makes as
Yeah.
far as the opening track, because you've got to have a good fucking opening track.
Oh,
Period.
absolutely. If your lead-in track sucks, nobody's going to listen to the rest of the record. Like, it'll be a quick skip through to see if you have any actual bangers on it, and after that, they'll just toss it in the bin and go to the next one.
Yeah, that's exactly basically my kind of thing. I'll listen to the first song for like 10 or 15 seconds, and if I don't like it, I'll move on to the next song, do the same thing, kind of just scan the entire album, and I'll be like, fuck this shit, next.
Yeah. It's like, and I'll give like the first song like a minute or two, and it's like if I'm not into it by then, I'm not gonna be.
Yeah.
And then Burn the Night actually just comes right in and hits hard from second one.
Right, that riff.
That's pure speed metal. Just absolutely sick. And then you hear that high ring rate shriek that this dude can do.
There was
pure 80s metal.
Yeah, I hear Ram It Down Judas Priest mixed with Keeper of the Keys era Halloween.
Yeah, with maybe a little bit of Ralph Sheepers from Primal Fear in there.
A little bit of Ralph Sheepers in there. And if you like those two bands, you like those two eras in particular for metal, for those bands, you're going to love Riot City, because they're like
oh god,
a hybrid.
And it's funny that two of those three bands are German and these guys are not. These guys are from Canada.
So, I know, right? I thought they would be from like at least Brazil or Europe. Nope, Canada.
Yeah, like, all the older bands tend to, or all the older sounding bands tend to be coming out of like Sweden, Norway, Finland.
Mm-hmm.
A couple out of Greece, which is interesting.
Yeah, I love. Speaking of Greece, there's this great Greece band. Let me see if I can look them up real quick. I'm trying to remember the name. Greece. I'm just gonna put Greece heavy metal just real quick.
And No Remorse Records, I think that's Motorhead's label.
It might be.
Or the label that Motorhead now owns. Hey, Courtney. Well, it's good to see you.
Helios.
Black Heliopolis?
No, it's something Black Helios.
Okay.
Shit. I'm gonna find it. I know it was on the New Wave of British Heavy Metal channel that they have. Are you sub to that one?
Yeah, the NWOTHM channel. Yeah.
Yeah,
I found out a lot of albums that way.
Yes, it's Judge Mantos or something. Judge Milios, Greece. Yes. No, oh, damn it. Nope. Damn.
And yes, Soul Assassin, the music is just as good as the album art in both cases on these records, and it's exactly what you think. It's over the top. It's chrome. It's steel. It's metal as fuck. And
metal as fuck, absolutely.
It's just classic '80s style metal.
Hello, Courtney. Fizz, Soul Assassin. What's going on, guys?
And if I had to pick a track to leave off of this record, I don't know that I could pick one because they all belong on here. There's nothing really out of place. Like I said, Warrior of Time and Halloween at Midnight could both be shaved down a little, I think, and be better songs. But I think they are both very good songs. They just needed to be trimmed here or there.
Yeah, a little bit of.
That Banshee scream is just. I think the first time I heard this record, my jaw about hit the floor as soon as I heard him sing. I was like, holy shit. This guy gets up there and he holds it too. It's not like he can spike really high and then goes back to a mid-range. He can stay up in the upper ranges pretty consistently.
Yep. It's a band. Physical.
Okay.
Riot City is a band.
Yeah. The band is called Riot City. This album is called Burn the Night. This is their first record from 2019. And Really, really solid debut album.
Yes, I would totally agree.
I think, and I don't give that praise lightly. Some bands that I absolutely adore, Priest is the number one perpetrator of this. Their first record does not do it for me, or they'll have like one or two records that I'm not really a fan of early on, and then not these guys though. They came out swinging.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think the second album's a little weaker than this one in terms of the songwriting department. Oh, that could just be because the songs are longer.
Probably because the songs are longer. They don't feel like, sorry, Maiden fans, but they don't feel as like boring or long as like from the new Maiden albums of the last several years.
Don't apologize to the Maiden fans. They know what they're in for at this point.
Yeah.
That's why the Smart Ones was gone out like 5 albums ago.
Definitely. It's so disappointing. I think ever since A Matter of Life and Death, I checked out.
Yeah, I think I still bought that and or Dance of Death.
You could say
I think I bought both of those, and I was just like, after Brave New World, they should have just hung it up.
I think I like Dance of Death. It's got some good tracks on it, and it's still heavy.
Not everything on Dance of Death is bad. The title track itself is horrible, but you had Passchendaele on there and a couple of other ones that are pretty decent. The Klansman, I think, is on that.
Yeah, Face in the Sand. I like that one.
So, not horrible. There's songs on there that are not horrible.
50-50. I like the production of that album. The production that they started doing from A Matter of Life and Death to the present, I fucking hate. It sounds
I don't know who decided that Bruce Dickinson needs to sound like he's at the bottom of a well, but they need to fire that person.
Right. Everybody should be at the front of the production, not sound like they're in a well. And the only thing you can kind of hear is the guitars and, Steve's bass, basically.
And even the guitar work and stuff like that. It's like a 2-minute acoustic intro that doesn't really build to anything. That leads into like one semi-interesting riff that doesn't build to anything else. It just kind of sits there. It's just kind of like,
I know.
Senjutsu, I just couldn't even be bothered listening to the whole thing.
I haven't bought Senjutsu. I think the last Maiden album I bought was Book of Souls, and I just bought it because I was going to see them for the tour.
And that does have a couple of good ones on it, like Tears of a Clown. I like quite a bit and stuff like that. Mostly because that one's actually written about Robin Williams.
Yeah, that was written by Robin, and the song I really like I really like the opening track.
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
Is that Empire of the Sky? Eternity? Something Eternity.
Oh, From Here to Eternity. Yep.
From Here to Eternity. Yeah, I like that track. I thought it had a nice swing to it as far as the drums went.
But like when an entire album is like 13-minute like prog masterpieces, like you can't do that. You can do that if you're like Rush or did it the way Maiden used to, where they do one song on an album that's like that.
Right. Exactly.
Like, and those would be great songs. Mariner or Alexander the Great, but
exactly,
you can't have an entire album of those.
And if you listen to Rime of the Ancient Mariner, there's a shitload of variety in that song alone.
It's a 13-minute song, but it never feels boring.
Exactly. If you're going to write a long song, don't make it feel boring. And somebody's going to have to tell you that is objective, that, listen, it's boring as fuck. I don't give a shit. Dante's Inferno by Iced Earth is like 16 minutes long. It's not boring at all.
Oh, look at the Gettysburg trilogy.
Gettysburg trilogy is like a half an hour.
When you take all three of them together, it's like 45 minutes.
Right.
And nobody cares because it's a fucking amazing time.
Absolutely.
But in fact, that entire album, we did a episode on that one last year for 4th of July. It was just, it's one of those albums. Every 4th of July, I'll play it in its entirety because you need to.
I'll at least listen to Declaration Day for sure.
Still one of the best opening tracks on any of their records.
Having the national anthem played by the band leading into that song is fucking fantastic. What a great idea by Schaefer to do that.
Oh yeah, Schaefer is a masterpiece, is a master of how to put an album together in a very coherent way and keep the listener engaged with the material the whole way through. And these guys are no different. I mean, I don't recall any point in either one of these records where I'm like, yeah, okay, get on with it already. And like and sometimes bands will have like a good first couple songs on their record and then the rest is kind of eh. This album gets, I mean, especially the first one, Burn the Night, gets better the further you get into it. I mean, you have, even later in the albums, you have songs like Steel Rider and 329 that are absolute bangers. And, you know, Help Me at Midnight has its moments too. It's not my favorite song on this record, but I don't hate it. And for a first attempt to be this good is a sign of things to come. And, well, this was up next. This one came out last year in 2022. And I was actually worried that they wouldn't release a new album. Especially with the whole pandemic and stuff like that. Like, well, they released an album in 2019 and then they hadn't released anything else. And then the pandemic hit. I'm like, well, shit, that's going to kill off the band, isn't it?
Right.
Because, you know, they're out of...
they can't tour.
Yeah, they can't tour, and that's where bands make their money. And a lot of bands didn't make it through that year and a half.
It was rough.
Well, especially a lot of either newer bands or bands that were just kind of not, that had never really made it into the mainstream. Like obviously bands like, you know, Sabaton or Amon Amarth or somebody like that, they're going to make it through just fine.
Right.
But somebody like this or Ambush or one of the newer guys, it's not clear that they would have had the momentum to carry them through. And they just went ahead and released Electrical Elite anyway.
And
it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it does. This is a great sounding album, guys.
I can tell the production budget on this one must have been much higher. Everything is crystal clear.
Yeah. And I would also say, I would have to say that I think I like the songs a little bit better on this album. There's certain songs I like better on Burn the Night. Like the opening track, I like better than the opening track from this album. But
True.
There's songs deeper in you get to Electric Elite that I just like way, way more. Like you were mentioning, like Tyrant, and then
Tyrant's an absolute fucking epic. I want to see that live so bad.
Tyrant and Ghost of Reality. So you get to those two, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, the rest of the album is pretty good, and it's like, okay, like this is really a solid release. Like, let's keep going and see what's there. And then you get to Tyrant, and it's like, holy shit. Okay, this just went up a couple of numbers in my book.
Right.
And
it's a slow burn.
They added in like almost this power metal style.
Yeah.
Too, with the synthesizer that kind of really adds to the whole sound. And yeah, Soul Assassin, he's either a huge Transformers fan or just grew up in the 80s and like everything was, you know, cyborgs and lasers and all sorts of stuff. Because like, that's a running theme with this band now.
He's got like the Terminator neck, or is that a RoboCop neck?
Yeah, that's Terminator.
And then it's attached to what appears to be either a fucking Jaguar or a cheetah.
That's where I was going, was Jaguar. It could be a cheetah though. Don't know which. With again the laser eye.
Yeah, with the laser eye.
So I think that's going to be that better be a theme going through all their albums because it looks kick-ass and
it's original.
It needs to stay.
And and it's like, okay, Riot City and then lasers. And then you've got to have
Riot City and Animals with laser eyes. Like
now I want to see
that band.
The third album has to have like a shark on it with laser eyes. Just as an inside joke.
Attached to its head?
Yeah, with attached to its head.
But no, that would be cool. Or like, you know, just a different variation on that theme for each album would be cool as hell.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was worried about this record even releasing, let alone how good it would be, because it was one of those like, oh, I don't know if they made it through the pandemic because they were just getting going when that all started.
Mm-hmm.
And but apparently they made it through just fine, and we're probably working on this most of the time, which probably is why it was such high quality, as they had years to work on it. Because you know
One
how
thing,
labels are with newer bands, where they're like, "Hey, we want an album.
yeah. Well,
We
the
want an
record
album. We
label
want
was
it
like,
now."
yeah, this is your deadline. If you don't meet your deadline, we're dropping or something. And
Well, usually not
being
only
from
will they drop
Canada,
you, you have to pay them back for all the money they spent on you in the first place.
oh damn.
Yeah, that's usually the downside of these deals. At least back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but like not like they'll spend the production budget and like do all that, but you owe them back their money.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you don't meet the terms of your contract or whatever, you owe them all that money back. So you can end up in big trouble, and a lot of bands have in the past. Um, but now this record, I don't know why I was worried, because they just absolutely continued what they were doing. And this one, I think, is musically a little more complex.
I would agree. I would
Like
definitely
like you
agree.
said, like I said, they added in the synthesizer, and I think a lot of the chord progressions and stuff like that are a little more advanced than they are in Burn the Night, which is no
Do you
bad
think
thing.
do you think it's an evolution of the band, or
I think
just
so. I think the first one was just a proof of concept, I think,
yeah, it was
and that
them
this is
trying to
what they really
sound
want to sound like.
right. Exactly. This is the first one is like them trying to sound like the bands that they loved growing up. This
Yeah,
one
and
sounds like them coming into their own kind of identity, I would say. At
yeah.
least that's
I
my
mean,
feeling
Burn the
about
Night,
this.
as good as it is, strikes me as an album of, they wanted to prove to themselves and everybody else that they could make a record
Yeah, and a
and
record
make
that
one
sounded
successful.
yep,
And this is
and
then just an evolution of that.
yes.
And that's the mark of a band that has a lot of potential in it, because it means they have room to grow.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, they're experimenting with new stuff, and I don't blame them for this being the album they want to sound like, because I want to sound like this. Like, their guitar player is on another level here, or was just showing off the skills he already had and maybe didn't want to overshadow the previous album on.
You know what's kind
um,
of
I don't know if you
okay,
noticed too, like their vocalist gets a little more operatic on this one.
yeah, I would say uh, definitely on uh, Tyrant and Ghost of Reality. I hear that sort of variation of kind of big bellowing and then projection, and then you hear screams like it
That's the
just
thing too. This guy has such a range on him where he can get down pretty low
yeah.
and absolutely up into the freaking stratosphere at the top end. So he kind of in that way, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jeff Tate from Queensryche.
Yeah, that's a great. I was just that. Damn, you. Because I was thinking, who does this guy remind me of? And then I was watching a Jeff Tate video of him live from like the past 2 years, and his
Oh yeah.
voice is
Oh,
back because I was listening.
he still sounds that good. Damn.
No, so no, it's like his voice came back, and he's got his like maybe taking that time off. I don't know what happened, but something happened. Like his voice strength, the fountain of youth. Because
That's cool.
I was
That's cool.
listening to Queen of the Reich, and if you've listened to Queen of the Reich, that song that has a screaming intro part that sounds amazing. You know how Jeff Tate can really hit
Oh
those
yeah.
high
I
notes.
mean, one of my favorite Queensryche tracks of all time is "Take Hold of the Flame,"
Yeah.
where he just has that opening, like entire. He just goes through his entire vocal range in one single movement. It's phenomenal, and he does it live too.
You know what sucks? I I went into the Brave New World tour in 2000 that Halford was supporting. Queens, they had Halford opening, and then Queensryche, and then Iron Maiden. And I watched all of Halford, but I went backstage during Queensryche, and I wish I hadn't because I had the opportunity to see them with Jeff Tate, and now, but it was an opportunity to go backstage and kind of see if you can find, like Steve Harris and
or Rob Halford himself or whoever else,
or Rob Halford himself. My friend found Steve Harris. He was playing basketball because there's a basketball hoop apparently behind the stage for like guys to just sort of like shoot.
So, hey, something's got to keep the roadies entertained between sets.
And it kept exactly.
But
I did see. You know what? No, when I think about it a little bit more, I did see Rob Halford backstage, but Halford at that time was so intimidating looking, and if you listen to
he kind of was like born again hard.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like a kid at the time, and he scared me. He legit scared the shit out of me because
he went with the whole biker look. And
I went with the whole biker
90s biker gang look rather than the 70s biker.
Like 90s biker gang look with like red flames all up and down the sides of the suit, and it was an all leather suit, and he was just doing songs where he was screaming, and I had no idea. This is before I knew who fucking Priest was. I had no idea. It scared the shit out of me. I saw him backstage and I didn't approach him. If I had known what I know now, I would have, maybe I wouldn't approach him. I don't know what I do. But to see him backstage just randomly talking to somebody just was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I actually got to see Queensryche this past year opening for Priest.
That's true.
Even with their new singer, they sound great.
Yeah. And they put out some decent albums with the new singer.
Yeah, they played a lot of the stuff off their new record that had either just released or was about to, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And they also did a bunch of their classic stuff. They did Queen of the Reich. They did Take Hold of the Flame. A whole bunch of stuff off of Operation Mindcrime. And the new guy was completely killing it.
And he's a cool guy too.
I've seen a couple interviews with him. He seems like a really great guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't have their guitar player back. But you can only do so much with that.
Right. I figured out the band. I figured out the name of the band from Greece. It's Judge Minos.
Judge Minos. Okay.
Yeah, and their first release is an EP. Let me see what the name of the EP is. The Keeper of Imbalance is the name of the EP.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds like some shit I'd be into.
If you're a wrestling fan, especially if you're a fan of The Undertaker, listen to The Undertaker song that they wrote about him, because it's literally written about the entire character from like the beginning to when he's about, when Paul Bearer comes in, and then when Kane comes in, and all of that stuff. The Keeper of Imbalance. Yep.
Yeah, boosh. But yeah, those and there's a bunch of Greek singers that are really good. Like what is his name? Janos from Beast in Black is from Greece.
I haven't heard them yet. I'll check them out.
Oh, they're really good. I like them a lot. If you like these guys, you're gonna really dig them.
Beast in Black.
They've done a ton of. They're basically like the male version of Battle Beast, who I like quite a bit. I've actually seen them live opening for Sabaton. They do pretty well live, even in a smaller venue where they don't get to set up like their real stage show. They
fucking Finnish power metal, yeah, done. Yeah, I'll probably love them. Fuck it.
Oh yeah,
I love them.
Like pretty much any Scandinavian power metal's kick ass, because like that tour or that festival was awesome. I got to see a ton of bands there. Testament was opening or was headlining night one, and then day two was a lot of the local guys, which is why I was there to help support them, because I knew some of the guys in the bands. And then Sabaton was the headliner that night, but I saw Leaves' Eyes on their first North American tour. I got to see Delane there, which they played really well. Hammerfall was there. Whole bunch of them. Battle Beast, obviously, they were all opening for Sabaton, which I think it was an 11-hour show, and I wasn't bored for a minute.
Was that at a festival, or was that?
Joaquin even mentioned it when he came on stage. He's like, "Guys, we're 12 hours into this show, and you still have this much energy."
Yeah,
and some of us. Oh, it was, dude. That was Metal Fest in New England in 2016.
Oh man, see, that's the thing. If we come out of the woodwork, metal fans come out of the woodwork. They think,
oh god, yeah,
for American metal, we're indifferent to metal. No,
and
man.
it was a cool little venue too. It's a not a very large place. It's the Palladium in Worcester, which a lot of bands play in. It's about 1,500, maybe 2,000 people. So like you actually get to see like the entire crowd if you're up on stage, which is cool as hell. Because like the big outdoor festivals and stuff, like you just kind of after a certain point you're just a sea of humans.
Yeah,
and you can't like. But even I've been up on stage at the Palladium a couple of times helping guys set up and stuff like that, and I mean you can quite clearly see the guy at the bar all the way in the back. And the place I saw Priest in this last time was actually brand new. They opened it. It's actually under the left field bleachers in Fenway Park.
Really?
Right field bleachers, sorry.
Under the bleachers, they built a fucking...
Yeah, they built a concert hall.
Fucking A.
It's awesome. And it's the floor plan's not very large because it's just under the stadium, but it's 3 stories up. So it can actually fit like 3,500, 4,000 people.
That's crazy. Damn.
And it's a really good venue, a really nice little venue. I mean, I don't know how long it'll stay nice if they keep doing metal shows there, because you know how we are. But for now it's nice.
That sort of reminds me of the Regency Grand Ballroom in San Francisco. I just saw Wasp there last December. And
how did they sound live? Because that sounds like
amazing.
A long time.
Amazing. Oh my God. It was, I wish they had played stuff from the Headless Children instead of the Real Me cover, because that's the only song from that album that they play. And they did like a medley of stuff. Like they started with a medley of stuff from the first album, like On Your Knees and Shown. Damn, I can't remember the names right now. I've been having brain farts for the last like 2.5 months, man. I don't know what's going on.
You just in that mode where it's like your brain's just like, nope, not today.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, not right now. The light's on, but nobody's home.
Like, I'll remember it 2 hours later when it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah. Wasp is a band I've always wanted to see and never had the chance to really. So I'll have to make an effort to go see them next time they're in the Washington area.
It sounded so good because of the fact that they had allowed, this full stage setup that had all this kind of relevant like Wasp stuff, and they would alternate it, when they would do certain songs from certain eras, like for
instance, they would kind of like go towards their emblem and stuff like that from that era.
Yeah, and he had like a big digital screen behind him, that showed.
Wasp has always been famous for their stage shows.
I mean, yeah, and it was fantastic. I mean, Blackie sounded amazing, and I don't give a shit if Blackie uses it's not backing tracks. It's like orchestral tracks that you can't include 120.
Yeah, a lot of bands do that. Sabaton does it.
I mean, shit.
Joaquin's a keyboard player. They're singing.
Exactly. So that's what Blackie is doing, basically.
Yeah, they're adding in extra tracks that they don't have the people for or don't have the ability to do live.
Right. And Blackie sounds fucking great. Anyways, there's no fucking lip syncing that at least I noticed when he was up there. But maybe there is because he's got the Motorhead thing, like that contraption that he stands up on and sings on that looks like a fucking
Yeah.
chopper.
Yeah.
So, but he sounded fucking great, and he's like in his 60s. So he's.
And I mean, I kind of want to see them like back in like the glory days of the '80s, back when like Blackie would have the crotch rocket literally and all sorts of other shit because they had some wild stuff going on.
Yeah, I would have perfect time. I would have caught them on would be the Headless Children tour.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that might be my favorite album from them.
Yeah,
It's a little more
definitely.
mature than like their early stuff, which is really just kind of loud, raucous, and out of control, which is what we love them for. But
I love them for that. Inside the Electric Circus, I think is so underrated as a
it
Warped
is. It's a
album.
great album, and
It's a great album.
a
Great
lot of people
songs.
fart at it, and I'm like, I don't know why. It's great. Why?
It's
Why
better
do
than
you
The
hate
Last
this?
Command.
Yeah, and I think Headless Children was really a more mature album for them, in that they were actually like telling a story. They weren't just out there writing songs anymore.
You're right. A
Which
little bit more
Heretic is one of my
socially.
favorite.
It was Blackie just kind of being a little bit more socially kind of conscious,
Yeah, and just kind of commenting on stuff,
just kind of
which they hadn't
commenting
really
on
done
stuff.
before,
The
other than
funny
make
thing
fun of
is, he's got a song called "The Headless Children," and that's about. He said it's about nuclear war, but song 6 is the nuclear bomber or something, the neutron bomb or
Oh
neutron
yeah,
bomber or something, and that's not about fucking nuclear war. So I was like, Neutron Ronnie, what the fuck is this? I always thought it was about this guy called Ronnie who wants to blow everybody up with a nuke. You
yeah.
know,
I mean, he's a very good songwriter when he puts his mind to it.
he's a great songwriter. Yeah,
Same thing
I
with same
totally
thing with
agree.
Lemmy from Motor. Is he can do just about as serious as he wants. He just never wants to be serious.
Right.
And Blackie's the same way. Like half of his stuff is either tongue in cheek or is just, especially later on when he stopped giving a shit, like Babylon's Burning and stuff like that. Like he was done playing playing around.
Right. Those albums I like certain tracks from, but I don't like the entire album. Like um the Babylon track that you mentioned, fucking fantastic.
Oh
Um Heaven Hung in Black from the previous album before that, fucking fantastic. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean they're one of those bands that I don't think they've had a all killer no filler album for a long, long time, but they're still worth picking up because there's at least half of that album that is still really, really solid.
And guys, if you like the all party, no bullshit of their earlier stuff, get El Dorado.
Yeah,
But
that they did kind of go back to their earlier sound on that one. I did enjoy it quite a bit.
I've got El Dorado, but then I got the follow up, which is a little difficult to find on CD. Uh, Holy Terror. That
Yep.
is Holy Terror, and then Burning the World, or the one after that. I feel like that's part one and part two of the same kind of thing, which is religion out of control that causes destruction.
Yeah,
Sort
and
of.
there's kind of two ways you can go as a metal band, and you can pick and choose each album which way you want to go. You can kind of go with like the more serious and introspective style, like Maiden does, or like a Queensryche or something like that, where they're actually got something important to say. Or you can just go over the top and be completely ridiculous, like Manowar.
Mm-hmm.
They both work well.
And there's one consistent through line that Man of War has kind of stuck to, and that's we are metal brothers. We are the metal family. You are Man of War. We are
Yeah,
Man of War. You are Man of War, kind of thing.
yeah,
I
exactly.
always
And
appreciated that.
it's the same thing with Warlock, whether it be Warlock or Doro herself. Like that's always been a common theme on her songs.
True.
Is we are the metalheads.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been like you say, Manowar has been consistent with that for like 35 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason people will still quote Metal Warriors until the sun dies out.
Mm-hmm.
Which Like let's face it, that's the perfect line for us too. Is heavy metal or no metal at all, wimps and posers leave the
Leave
hall.
the hall. Yep.
Otherwise known as, if you're not into this, get the fuck out. We don't care.
And some of their best stuff was fucking released in the 90s.
Yeah, like the period where metal went to die and Manowar found new life.
Found new life.
And it's weird, like some of the early 90s records are awesome. Like 1990, 1991, you still had some kick-ass stuff coming out. Like, let's face it, Megadeth released Rust in Peace in 1990. Priest released Painkiller.
Right.
Like some of the best shit they've ever written. Not that it's my favorite record, but 91, Metallica came out with the Black Album, which, while not fantastic, is still really listenable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one, unfortunately, that they're known most well for.
I wish they would play My Friend of Misery, because that's such an underrated song, and they really never play it live. Never.
Oh, and Soul Assassin, don't worry, we are going to be getting to both of those before long here. Especially, I know Courtney loved to talk some Joan Jett, because I've always loved Joni, and that's right up her alley. So we'll have to get her back on here to talk some Runaways and Joan Jett, maybe, and then we'll do an episode on Warlock, because I like a lot of their shit too.
I wish I could find their
Laura Pesch in general is just the German queen of metal.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree.
And she still looks good for her age too. She's like in her 60s. She's still smoking.
She still looks like what she looked like on the cover of the first Warlock album.
Yeah.
To be honest. And make no mistake, that's Doro.
Yeah, and that's what, 40 years ago now?
1987. So
it's 37 years ago.
Yeah, 37 years ago.
So to still look that good, half your life later is no small feat.
No, it isn't.
And obviously, she's kept herself in shape quite a bit, and you got to work at it a lot more as you get older. But good on her. And yeah, we'll definitely be going into them, and maybe some other female-led bands too, like Burning Witches and stuff like that, because I like them quite a bit.
I like them too.
Yeah, and they've been called Judas Priestess, and for good reason. They do sound a lot like Priest in their at their best. And yeah, well, Soul Assassin, it's good for most of your body. Your knees might not thank you very much, and your hearing is not going to thank you. But
I always wear hearing protection when I go to concerts, and I have to have a seat because I can't stand anymore for I did it for Wasp because the fucking
it depends on the show. Like some shows, you just want to sit down and relax for a bit. But especially the harder shows, like if I go see the Testament or whoever, I'm down in the pit. I don't give a fuck.
There wasn't a pit. Well, I wasn't near the pit. I dragged my brother to it, and I said, "Listen, I know the acoustics of this building. I'm going to tell you right where's the perfect spot." And I stood there for 3.5 something hours to get through, because I've seen Armored Saint open and they are fantastic. Armored Saint, check them out.
I've never really gotten into Armored Saint, and I really have to, because I know they're a huge influence. Like they're one of those bands that never got famous, but they've been around forever.
And the singer still sounds, A, John Bush still sounds amazing. B, they were opening for Wasp on this tour, and C, they opened for Wasp during their 1985 tour with Metallica.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those it's like Saxon and Motorhead, where you'll see them together all the time.
Right, exactly. Or Saxon and Priest.
I hope they keep the same lineup that they've kind of announced for Priest's 2024 tour in Europe, because it's going to be Priest with Saxon opening.
Oh man, I kicked myself for this. I fucking bought tickets for the 2018 Firepower tour, the leg where they had Saxon opening, and I fucking missed it.
Oh, dude, that sucks. I'm still mad about the 2020 show that got canceled, because I was going to see Sabaton opening for Judas Priest. It doesn't get better than that.
That's
one of the best modern bands out there, and the greatest metal band ever formed.
Yes. The only thing
on the same stage in the same
possibly. I would say the only thing possibly that could rival that would be Iced Earth opening for Iron Maiden.
That would be insane. The show would be like 5 hours long, though.
I wouldn't mind.
They both have really long stage sets.
I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah, I would. I'm not complaining. The venue might not be too happy about it, but
as long as the set list for Maiden is good, I'm good.
And there keep being rumblings about Maiden and Priest touring together again.
They're not going to do.
I hope they do.
Got to do it or not do it.
The last time they toured together was 1982.
Just let them be on the festival and share the stage with each other. Because the closest I came to like a Priest Maiden tour in my lifetime was that Brave New World tour with Halford opening.
Yeah, so it's kind of, and I know Halford played a lot of Priest stuff when he
did
doing a solo career. So you get close, but not the full Priest. And it's weird that it would be reversed now because in '82, Maiden was opening for Priest. And now it would absolutely be Priest opening for Maiden.
Yeah.
I mean, Maiden is just, in terms of commercial
fan base, they just have
far and away the best in the world at what they do. Although they've kind of turned into the Kiss of metal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're more a brand now than they are a band.
Yeah, exactly. I had these thoughts about them for at least since they released Senjutsu. I mean, I see like the Iron Maiden fucking hot sauce, and then the Iron Maiden fucking beer, and then the Iron Maiden.
Although I will say that beer is actually pretty good, so I'll give them that one.
All right, but I hear fucking. Remember when Bruce Dickinson said he talked shit about Ozzy because he had to use a teleprompter. Now Bruce is using a teleprompter, so I just find that fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things when you get to a certain age, you kind of have to.
Yeah, it's like fuck.
And I'm sad to see Ozzy go from the touring circuit. He's never been one of my favorite artists, but that's the end of an era when you no longer get to go see Ozzy on tour anymore.
I'm lucky to have seen him several times in both Black Sabbath and solo.
Yeah, I've seen him once touring on his own with Zakk Wylde, which amazing guitar player. Actually, it's funny that he played with Ozzy and yet has his own Black Sabbath cover band that he plays with too.
Right.
Called Zakk Sabbath. And they're really
we're forgetting Black Label Society.
No, yeah, that's not forgetting Black Label Society at all.
Right.
He's had some great shit with them too. But yeah, it is kind of the end of an era when you start seeing obviously we can't see Motorhead anymore. Now Ozzy's gone. Well, that's 2 out of the OG4.
Yeah, guys, see these bands while they're alive. I'm lucky because '99 I saw the Black.
Going to see Motorhead.
Let me just tell you one thing: your ears were going to be ringing. Even I had ear protection. My ears were ringing for 3 days after I had seen this Motorhead. And I knew I was in for it again because I had seen them on they had opened for Iron Maiden on the 2003 Dance of Death tour. My ears were ringing. And then on that metal, what was it?
Oh, the Metal Masters tour?
Metal Masters tour. Ears are still
2009,
ringing.
Yeah.
Fucking ears are still ringing from them.
I was pissed because I couldn't go to that show because I was deployed. I found out about it after I got back. I'm like, you sons of bitches, come back here.
I know.
Because you had 3 of the big 4 on the same tour. You had Black Sabbath touring as Black Sabbath. Freaking, I think with the original lineup too. And then you had Priest and Motorhead.
Right.
Well, I mean, however you got to get it done. But I mean, Motorhead was one of those acts that you almost have to experience them live, and unfortunately, I never did. There was a live show that's going to be going on, I think, next March down in Houston that me and a whole bunch of other guys are going to try to go to. I think Sodom's one of the headliners.
Is it a festival?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up the thing here. It's in Nick's server. Um, yeah, Hell's Heroes 6. It's Sodom and Queensryche as the headliners with Candlemas, Forbidden, Doro, Girl
Ooh,
School.
ooh, shit.
Drucker's going to be there, Witch Hazel, Hellstar. So I think me and a couple of other guys are going to try to go all meet up down there and go to the show. Like, I'd go just for fucking Sodom and Candlemas. I've never seen either of them live. I've seen Queensryche and they're well worth going to see, but yeah, half of that lineup is just like bands I've always wanted to see and never got the chance to.
Then do it, man. I mean, I can only imagine what fans who got to see Metallica with Cliff Burton, or at least
Yeah,
Metallica from like 83 to 90, let's say 93. Let's say
yeah.
that 10-year stretch where they were like at their peak in their prime. I am so fucking jealous of. Even
And
though
the,
Metallica I
and the
saw,
gang I'm going with is going to be legendary too, because you got like me, Nick Weiser. I think Imperius is going
oh,
to try to go. Abigor, Manowar 665. Like we're all going to meet up down there.
sweet.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. Especially Nick Weiser is hilarious,
He is.
and
He's fucking
I will
great.
try to video some of it. At least
Yes.
the parts we're sober for.
Be
Um,
careful. Don't live stream and drink. That's a very
yeah,
dangerous
we won't live
combination.
stream doing anything illegal. Hopefully. But no, that should be a great time if we make it happen.
I hope it can happen for you guys.
I hope I can get the time off of work to go. But no, that should be a lot of fun. And I still swear 1 year we're all going to go to Vakken.
That's what I'm.
An absolute legend.
I'm saving up my airline miles to do some of that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've never been to Europe before, so it would be cool to go there. Well, I've never stayed in Europe before. I've flown through there a couple of times, but I've never actually like been on the ground in Europe.
Same.
And
I think
then
I want to check out if I do like a dual flight. I want to because I always wanted to see Ireland, so
yeah,
I'll do like a couple days in Ireland and see if I can get like a flight directly to Germany.
that would be cool. That'd be cool. Like I mean, my family, my mom's family's from Ireland. I've never actually been there. They went last year. It said it was an absolutely awesome time. So I'll have to try to go to like Ireland, England, and then do like the whole mainland Europe thing. But yeah, man, like that'll be an awesome time, and I want to see these guys too. Like if these guys come on tour, I gotta go see them.
Oh, absolutely. Like Primal Fear. I'm so lucky. Primal Fear was able to tour twice in California. They were at in 2010. I just went to go see them, and then 2016 they came back. So both times I got to see them, and they're one of those underground. Even though they've been around for over 20 years, they're still like on the underground as far as recognition.
Yeah, it's like the metal. It's like the guys like us all know who they are, but a lot of like
Even
the
the
more
metal
normies
people don't know who they are.
Yeah, like I've mentioned Primal Fear to a couple of people, and they would kind of look at me like, "Who?" It's like they're one of the bigger names if you know the right people. But no, we'll definitely do
Tell
one
them to
saw
type
on
in
them.
German power metal into Google, and you're going to see an image of Gamma Ray,
Yep.
fucking Primal Fear, and a whole bunch of other bands.
Yeah,
So,
and it's gonna be.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's. I don't think he ever toured with Halloween, did he?
No, I don't know, but definitely the German aspect of it, German power metal
That would
aspect.
be cool to get all three of them together again.
I would love that.
Like,
Right,
especially if you can somehow rope Blind Guardian in there as well.
right.
As much of a dick as Hansi Kirsch can be, well, he's still the head of Blind Guardian, so we have to give him the respect he's earned, even if
I
he
don't
treated
get
Josh
Blind
Jacobs
Guardian.
horribly.
I tried to get Blind Guardian, but some of their stuff I like, and some of their stuff it's too folky for me.
I like
Hansi.
I kind of dig that. So
I don't. It's just my personal preference. I dig Hansi way more in Demons and Wizards than I
Demons
ever
and
did.
Wizards is a huge musical up jump from Blind Guardian.
I mean, the best. Am I wrong in saying like they're the best? Like, you know,
they certainly have some of the best
supergroup
power metal musicians on the planet.
Supergroup, yeah, that's what I meant to say. They're like the best.
You have him, John Schaefer. The rest of the band is from some pretty big name bands too.
I think on the first album they had Brent Smeedley, who a long time Ice Earth drummer, really great. And I think they had some. It was like a hybrid for this latest album of like people from Blind Guardian and people from Ice Earth. So it was like a direct.
Yeah, it was like you kind of got both of them smashed together and in the best way possible. Soul Assassin, I dig a lot of Powerwolf. Like they're not my favorite band, but they're pretty cool. They seem like they'd be an interesting band to see live.
I've heard the name, and I think do they wear face paint?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll check them out then.
Yeah, if you dig like Sabaton, you'll like these guys. They're much less on the history aspect though. They're much more of basically a mixture of like old school like Hammer horror movie stuff with Catholic imagery. It's kind of interesting. And one band I would heavily recommend seeing live is Ghost. They're a really cool stage show because they're much more on the Maiden side of things where it's a whole stage production rather than just the band. And they're a really solid band live. And well, I mean, the black metal kids wear face paint and
they're nerds.
And it is cool when they do it, but it's not for everybody. Well, that being said, King Diamond does it too, and that's also pretty kick-ass. So, maybe there's something to
it. There's a difference between like the King Diamond, Gene Simmons face paint, and then the Corpse paint, like really skinny, like shriveled up, like Norwegians used to look, like tough. And I think, I don't know, it was this one German guy who's like, fucking black metal. Just a bunch of fucking nerds who think it's Halloween every day.
I mean, yes, and that's kind of what makes them awesome.
I don't know who. I wish I could remember who the fuck said it, but I know it was a German guy because it was a German accent.
And the funny part is he's probably in a black metal band too.
It might be possible. It might be him talking shit about the Norwegians and the Swedes or something like that.
Yeah, or just the scene in general. There's a lot of them like doing that.
Right.
But I unfortunately have to wrap this show up because I got stuff I have to do. But this has been great, and absolutely go check these guys out if you haven't during the show. They're well worth the spin.
Yes.
And I always like supporting newer artists that maybe really haven't gotten out there yet. So hopefully we can kick these guys up into the mainstream one day because they definitely deserve it.
Yeah, I would like to see them, Ambush, and Skullfist tour.
That would be a kick-ass tour.
And just call it I don't know what you'd call the tour, but
the Swedish Invasion.
Probably, that's fine with me, man, as long as they come.
Pretty much
here, because I think they did one of the three bands I mentioned did like a festival in Brazil or something where they came to at least one of the Americas, but they haven't been in North America yet. Nope.
And that's when I was like, come here, you're right there.
come on, you're right there, man. Just take can you just take a couple dates and the continental US and
oh man, that'd be sick to see them. But other than that, like, what do you got going on this week, man?
Nothing except the stuff that I'm sort of been dealing with. So you're not going to hear from me for a while. That as far as like, I did a little bit of content lately because I don't know, it's just a way to sort of like I added a couple videos, but they were shorts and not like original stuff, like a music video. I haven't had put out music video in like over 2 years or something like that at this point. So I got to get back to doing that when I get through this period. But yeah, you can find me at my channel, The Sentinel, and I hope you enjoy it. That's about it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat right now with work, where like this show is pretty much the only one I can guarantee I'm going to be able to do in a week. Thursday night show, if I'm around for it, I may still do, but for the future, I don't. I may have to move that to another day or time or whatever.
Right.
So stay tuned for that, and also may have some stuff coming up on Rumble if I get the free time. Um, but other than that, that's going to be it for this week. I think next week we're going to be doing ZZ Top. So if you're into some Southern rock, stay tuned. We're gonna go through one of the best. And with that all being said, take care, stay safe. I love you all, and I'll catch you next time.